Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ralph Casals, your town manager, and welcome to my second annual open mic night. On behalf of the mayor and town council, thank you for the folks that are here in attendance, and thank you for the folks that are here online. Before I can begin, I would like to recognize a couple of folks behind the scenes that make all this happen, make my job so much easier. We have first our town clerk, Mauricio Molino, right there behind the scenes. We also have Rod Gibson there monitoring all the online questions that we'll be receiving later tonight. We also have a couple of department heads here in the audience, here in the live in our council chambers, and thank you for the residents that are attending here as well. So with that, let's go ahead and kick this off. Okay, we're popping up on the screen here. Okay, so just a little quick overview for the folks that might be new to our community. Cutler Bay, we're the newest municipality within Miami-Dade County. We are comprised of approximately 45,000 residents. We're incorporated in 2005. We're about 10 square miles. Our median age is 38 years old. And our average household size, 3.35. I don't know what that 0.35 comes from, but that's what we have officially from the Census Bureau. And we have approximately 19,000 units in our town. We have a city manager, former government. As I mentioned before, we have our mayor, Mayor Mirbot, that was just here a couple minutes ago. We have Vice Mayor Callahan. We have Councilmember B.J. Duncan. We have Councilmember Susie Lord, and we also have Councilmember Richard Ramirez. I am one of three very lucky, fortunate charter officials. We have, as I mentioned before, our town clerk, Mauricio Molino, who's here. And we also have our town attorney, Mitch Bierman, with the law firm. And there you see the rest of our department heads. Organization chart, very, very simple. The residents are on the top. They are first and foremost our priority. They report, the mayor and council members report directly to the residents. The three charter officials report to the mayor and council. So the charter officials have the lucky, fortunate to have five amazing bosses. So, thank you. In fact, many of the council members that are not here, I know are watching live via Zoom. So thank you for participating. So a lot of the ways that we try to communicate with our residents, we have 11 town council meetings a year. And here in our town hall council chamber, normally on the third Wednesday of the month, starting at 6 p.m. We also have 5 budget meetings. When I say budget meetings, because we have 3 budget workshops. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And then we also have 2 state mandated hearings. So that provides the residents and the town council an opportunity 5 times to receive feedback through one of the important processes that we have as a municipality. As I mentioned before, tradition, we have 2 open mic nights. As the folks have been following us, you saw me back in March, and now we're here in August. We also have 17 yearly signature events that we have great participation with our residents. It gives residents a nice informal way to communicate with all of our department heads, a lot of our elected officials. A lot of folks bump into me as well, and it just gives people an informal atmosphere to just provide some feedback. Sometimes folks feel that it's intimidating coming to a council chamber, so we try to have as many events and try to be very, very accessible. We also have emails, we have direct calls, we have direct messages through our social media platforms. We have our monthly newsletter. Thank you. We have actually over 7,000 subscribers to our newsletters. We also have on our website, you can come in and provide a service request anytime of the 24 hours a day. Those emails go directly to the affected departments, directly to department heads. If they're not followed up on a certain time, they actually then come to me as well. More importantly, we just reached our 27,000 followers across all the social media. So that's a great avenue for us to outreach. Just think about that. We have 45,000 residents, and over half are following us on social media. So thank you for everybody who follows us on social medias, and please encourage your friends and neighbors to sign in. So Some of the topics that we're going to provide tonight in my open mic night, it just probably provides an informal atmosphere for me to provide a community an update, and also to, more importantly, to receive some of the questions from our residents, because I want this to be a two-way communication. Some of the topics that we're going to talk about, what's hot. What's hot is all the items that we know that have been sent via emails, a lot of our social media pages. So we create that list all the time. Most importantly, it's that time of year, August, September, October is when we have our budget season. And that's very important for us. And we're going to talk about that. Legacy Park and Municipal Complex, our brand new complex that we're building right on Old Cutler Road, we're going to discuss. Southland Mall, the $1.5 billion economic impact that we're going to have here in the Southland Mall area. And other upcoming developments that we don't take for granted. There's a lot of different developments that are going on in the town of Cutler Bay. Also, a lot of capital improvement projects where we're reinvesting our funds into the community, a lot of our infrastructure. Some of that, you'll see that now on Franjo Road, the roadway improvement projects. We also have the American Rescue Plan Act that we have funding for that we're going to talk about. We also have a lot of properties that we have acquired along Old Cutler Road. The Cutler Bay Wetland Restoration Project that we're going to talk about as well. It's an $80 million project that we're going to talk about. And then obviously throughout the process, we're going to have a lot of questions as well. So let's get started. What's hot? We receive a lot of calls regarding the status of the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge. Well, folks, I could tell you that, number one, it's not a town project. We are working closely with Miami-Dade County because the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge and Caribbean Boulevard is owned and maintained by Miami-Dade County. A lot of the back history of that was that there was a contractor that was on site. The contractor, then the county terminated the contract. Then the county went out to bid. The bids came in extremely high. The latest information we have from Miami-Dade County Public Works official is that they have reviewed the bids and they're going to basically go out to bid again because they think that they could probably get a better price. But nevertheless, we have invited the folks, the leadership from Miami-Dade County Public Works Department to attend our council meeting either on September or the October meeting. But we do receive a lot of those comments there. Our job is to make sure that the county has secured the site there as well. We also get a lot of calls regarding the project that's not within the town of Cutler Bay, but it's on 87th Avenue, next to our friends in the village of Palmetto Bay. I could tell you that project is moving forward. The county, that project is managed by Miami-Dade County Public Works Department. So that's something that we continue to monitor as well. Also, our very own Cutler Ridge Pool. Cutler Ridge Pool, and I'd like to thank all my Parks and Recreation aquatic manager and our lifeguards. We have reopened the pool, limited hours. Part of the reason is that we're going through a 40-year inspection process now with Miami-Dade County. So there's some repairs that need to be performed. At the same time, there are some major leaks that are underneath the decking of the pool that we are in the process of having a contractor fix. So what we've done is we reopened the pool and making sure that we capture all the efficiency, because if we have to pop up the deck to fix the leaks, we're also going then have some of the bonding that's required, electrical bonding that's required around the pool needs to be replaced based on our 40-year inspection. So while the deck is exposed, we're going to be doing that. But nevertheless, we're finalizing negotiations and the scope of work with our contractor. So we wanted to make sure that we at least open the pool temporarily as we then get all the materials in place, execute the contract, and then there will be a time that's going to be a closure. But in the meantime, we want to make sure that the pool is open for very limited hours. So, but thank you for all the folks that are attending our pool there. Blue Heron Park, the folks that live along the Lakes by the Bay community there, Isles of Bayshore, that is a park that it has been closed due to the high arsenic levels. And you can see a video that was almost a year ago. And we have been negotiating with Miami-Dade County Derm to go ahead and remove the arsenic soil that's there, but at the same time, taking our time and making sure that we protect over 297 trees that are there. So we were able to provide the Miami-Dade County Durham a plan to save those trees, remediate the soil around it, but then remove all the soil that is around the tree canopy there. So that's something that we're doing as well. In fact, if you follow us, we had a community meeting just last week regarding the designation that of a brownfield. So I received a couple calls regarding that folks that could not make that meeting, but why designate that park to brownfield? Very simply, folks, money. What's that mean is that when we designate this a brownfield, that 5-acre parcel there, it's a designation that you get from Miami-Dade, from the state of Florida, and it provides us the ability to recoup some of the funds, up to 75% of the funds that we're going to expend there through the state of Florida's voluntary cleanup tax credits. The remediation, as I mentioned, is going to be digging down approximately 2 to 3 feet down, removing the old soil, and then bringing in clean fill. And again, that's a two-part issue, because besides us remediating that property, we're also going after the original owners that transferred the property to the town for compensation as well. As I mentioned, we had the meeting there for the community meeting. There's going to be 2 public meetings regarding the designation, formal designation as required by Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP. First meeting will be in conjunction with our budget hearing on September 11th. The second meeting will be September the 25th. And if all goes well, by December 31st, we should have a designation from the state of Florida, and that will allow us to start recouping up to 75% of the funds. And then the remaining of the funds, we are going to go through legal complaints with the original landowner that deeded that property over to the town. So at this point, I'd like to take a little break to see if there's any questions. I know that we have some folks here in the audience, and we also have some folks here online. I'm getting the signal that we do have somebody online. So with that, please.
Yeah, there's a question about the land on 216 between the 2 entrances of Alsa Bayshore. Can you talk about it? They want to know more about that.
Sure. The question, if folks didn't hear online, it's regarding the vacant land in the Lakes by the Bay community between 87th and 97th Avenue. I think it's approximately 16 acres right there oversees the lake there. That property actually has gone through the town council, and there was a site plan that was approved for housing, mixed use, and medical arts building. There are a lot of restaurants there along 216th Street. It's going to be adult community. In fact, there's a covenant that goes with the property that is 55 and over. And we're really excited about that project because there's going to be a lot of shops and retail and restaurants lining 216th Street there, anchored by a medical arts building. And on the back side of it is going to be residential units. What we were able to negotiate with that developer is the fact that surrounding the property, on the perimeter of the property, which overviews the lake, there will be a park element, open public space element there that will be maintained and owned by the developer, but from sunrise to sunset, it will be able to be used by the residents of the town, because that is a high traveled area there for pedestrians and cyclists, and 216th Street there. And we want people, when they get home, just kind of enjoy the nice walks there along 216th Street, and also make that a complementary feature as well.
No more questions.
No more questions. Okay, great. Any questions from the audience here live? Nope. Okay, I see somebody saying, give me the signal, keep going. All right, we'll keep on going. Well, thank you guys for great questions. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about transportation. We have a municipal circulator that operates Monday through Saturday and Sundays as well. That I call it like the train on wheels, I call it, right? It goes around in circles. It's about a 45-minute route from beginning to end. We were able to negotiate with our friends from Southland Mall to have it stop within the JCPenney. And more recently, the new public shopping center on Old Cutler Road, we were able to negotiate as well that a trolley will then goes in there and does a loop within that shopping center there that makes it a little bit easier for a lot of our seniors that they don't have to walk a long distance there. And obviously the business is located there, obviously it's great because a stop there, but also what we notice is folks that work there also using that as well. So you got patrons and folks that are working. And again, we move over 5,000 residents per month. So that is that many less cars out in the streets. So that's our municipal circulator. That is being funded what we call People's Transportation Plan, the half penny gas tax. The town receives approximately $2.5 million per year. 80% of those funds will go towards sidewalk repairs and roadway resurfacing projects, and the other 20% will then be used for transit-related projects. This is the 20% transit-related project. But then we also complement this service, what we call Metro Connect. We have a Metro Connect services, which you've heard me say before, it is like the government Uber, right? That folks use that Metro Connector all the time. In fact, the latest numbers we have is about 5,500 folks. So think about that. We have 5,000 from our bus, and we have another 5,500 Metro Connect. We're moving about 10,500 people a month. Those are less trips, less carbon footprint within our community, less traffic. That's what we want to hear. That's something that Metro Connect has been on the news recently with Miami-Dade County going through their budget struggles. We have made it very, very clear to both Mayor Cava, as well as our County Commissioner, Cohen Higgins, as well as our County Commissioner, Keone McGee, how important, how vital this project is for the town. We also use our funds from our PTP gas funds to fund this project, but also we have received, I think it's already like maybe 4 years going already, DOT grants for this. In fact, the most recent grant we received was $250,000 to fund next year's services. So what we do with that $250,000, we then match that with the gas tax money, and now we have a $500,000 service for our residents when they're really only paying for half of it. So that's something that's a tribute to our town staff, our grants coordinator, our public works department that manages that as well. But please, I know that a lot of folks have been receiving emails from Metro Connect that the service is in jeopardy. I've had personal conversations with the public works director of the county. We are monitoring this. Please rest assured that what we do know, the facts that we do know is the contract is set to expire by the Board of County Commissioners with Metro Connect via as a contractor on December. There's been some communication, some conversation about possibly extending that service or possibly providing a lifeline of up to $2 million. We are already working behind the scenes and making sure that there's no service interruption. If for whatever reason that emergency fund doesn't come through and we know that the service is going to end in December, we will then immediately jump to a different provider. So because we do have that grant from FDOT and we're committed to provide that service. So from our resident standpoint, rest assured there's not going to be interruption. It might be a different type of vehicle, a different type of logo, different type of provider, but you will still have those services within Cutler Bay. So we're working on that as well. Part of the program is we want to provide you this. This started back in 2020, and since 2020, we've actually moved over 230 residents from this free, let me repeat that, free service that we have. We average about 4,800 riders per month. We peaked at 6,600. Very proud to say out of 13 zones within the county that the county has set up, we are the top performing zone. In fact, we account for approximately 37% of the entire county ridership. And there's been, if you followed a lot of our social media, there's been a lot of comments from Mayor Cava complimenting the services that we provide at Metro Connect, and also Commissioner Cohen Higgins fighting for us to maintain this service here as well. So thank you for those folks. Another topic that we're very, very proud of is school grades, right? I mean, first of all, shout out to Principal Parra. Cutler Bay Middle School is now an A school. Let me repeat that again. I mean, we've been here almost 20 years, and now Cutler Bay Middle School is an A school. Principal Para and the school district and his team is doing an amazing job there. I could tell you that our next slide here, I know it's small enough for me not to read it, but I know it. This is the first time in our 19-year history that all the schools within the town of Cutler Bay, including South Ridge, which is our home school for high school, are all A's and B's. So big shout out to the school district and all dedicated teachers and staff, and more importantly, the parents and the students. That is a great selling point. When I meet with local realtors and talk to them about what are you selling in Cutler Bay? First thing they tell me is public schools. Second thing they tell me is police. And the third thing is the parks. I call that the 3 Ps. And folks, I could tell you that the mayor and town council are very proud of these accomplishments, and you know, we continue to have that great relationship with the school board, which we're going to talk about a little bit later as well. So at this point, if there's any questions regarding some of the topics we discussed.
No questions.
No questions. All right. Any questions from the audience? Oh, you guys aren't going to give me a water break, are you? Okay. All right, we'll continue. Okay, as we talked about, one of the important things that we take great pride in is our finance and our transparency. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have budget workshops. We just had one on June 18th. We call that the budget visioning session. This is where we kind of like the council sits around, all departments, we talk about some of our priorities and goals for the next year. And then on July the 30th, once we receive some of the preliminary figures from the property appraiser, then we start putting in some figures and we go into what we call the general fund. And then on August the 28th, which is, you know, in 2 days, again, commercial plug, this Thursday coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll have our third budget workshop to talk about all the different funds. For example, stormwater and a lot of the special project funds, like some of our capital improvement funds as well. And then we go into what we call the hearings. The hearings, as I mentioned before, are every municipality has to have 2 state mandated hearings. So we have our first hearing will be on September 11th, Thursday. Our second hearing will be on September the 25th, and all the meetings take place at 6 o'clock right here in the town council chamber. So this is something unique that we do in Cutler Bay, because this is where we talk about, there's 5 times that the council could talk about in a sunshine meeting, as well as having feedback from our residents, either virtually via Zoom or also in person, that we discuss our budget process. You can visit our website. If you missed those meetings, you can watch the recording. All the agenda items are there. The budget worksheets and workbooks are there as well. We're very proud of that because we have received the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, Excellence in Finance Reporting, 16 consecutive years, folks, 16 consecutive years. So kudos to Robert Daddario, and our finance director, and his team. And we also received the Budget Presentation Award for 7 consecutive years. And we're going to restart in 2026 the budget award as well. Those budgets are online. They're also at the public library as well, if folks want to see those reports. So what do we do in the budget season? So the first thing we do is we always set what we call the ceiling millage rate. The millage rate is how many dollars per 1,000 assessed property value. So the ceiling, as I mentioned, the ceiling, not going to be the final one. The ceiling that we set for this budget year is 3.04, which means $3.04 per every 1,000 assessed property value that you have. Our current rate is 2.8332. So if you followed us on my budget hearings, you'll see in the budget workshop, you see that we're going to be building our budget based on our current millage rate. But what we want to make sure is that we have that ceiling rate that we set there just in case. But I've said it publicly, we're building our budget along the 2.8332. So the other thing that this resolution does is sets the hearing dates. As I mentioned before, the first one will be September 11th, the second one September 25th. Now, Folks have probably already received, I know they were mailed out last week, what's called the Truth and Millage. This is a trim notice that you received. What that trim notice does, it provides you the ceiling millage rate, as well as the hearing date for the first budget hearing, September 11th, and the time. And also, it provides you what the rest of the agencies that are taxing you as well. Because sometimes I get a lot of calls regarding, boy, I pay Cutler Bay a lot of taxes. Well, let's pull up your trim notice to see, out of that, example, $4,000, what's actually coming to the town of Cutler Bay, because there's all the tax agencies there. So if there's a question regarding truth and millage, please feel free to give us a call at Town Hall. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. As I mentioned before, our millage rate was 2.8332. This is a tough graphic to see unless you're seeing it on the computer monitor or at home or watching it on TV. But I could tell you that Cutler Bay is the 7th lowest within Miami-Dade County. Those are all the adopted millage rates for 2024. So that 2.8332, which is $2.83 per thousand assessed value, is something that we're very proud of, keeping that millage rate low. Also, our fund balance, which we call that our reserves, we're very proud of. Now that we get to the point that you see the graph kind of going up there, we currently have in our fund balance reserve over $28 million. Now, I could tell you that about $6.5 million of that is going to be used for Legacy Park's soil remediation, but nevertheless, we still have a healthy fund balance reserve of $28 million. Our millage rate for the last 12 years, as you can see there, we've kind of kept it steady for the last 3 to 4 years there. You'll see the current chart there says 3.0432, but I can tell you that the budget that we're putting together now and it's presented to the council at the budget workshops, and we're going to present it again this upcoming Thursday at 6 o'clock, will be built around the 2.8332, which is the current millage rate. Also, part of the notices that you probably have received is a stormwater utility fee. So we have a stormwater utility department fund that maintains a lot of the drains, also street sweeping, a lot of capital improvement projects we have along drainage projects. And here we have moved from, it used to be on your water and sewer bill from Miami-Dade County. Now we have it what's called the Unified Billing System, that it comes on your tax bill. So it's a $90 per year is the fee. We've advertised that also on August 21st, the week of August 21st, advertising that we're going to have a public hearing on September the 11th. And I could tell you that the Stormwater Utility Fund pays for a lot of street sweeping, the drain cleaning, planting of the trees that we have along there, because that's actually a treatment mechanism along the swale area there. And good news about this, since it's included now on your tax bill, when you pay your tax bill early, you actually get a 4% discount. So you wouldn't get that before if it was on your water bill. So again, it's a yearly fee that we pay there based on a residential unit, which most residents, based on their houses, is $90 per year. Again, if you're a shopping center or an apartment building, that's a little bit different because that's actually a different calculation there. Mentioned before, we have a financial transparency portal on our website where we post a lot of our financial statements there, the checks that we've issued there as well. I know that just about a week ago, there was a resident that reported there was a glitch, and thank you for reporting that. We actually found out there was something, a glitch, and we immediately fixed it. So again, that's a transparency portal there that we have for full disclosure. So at this point, I'll pause if there's any questions.
No questions online.
No questions online? All right, any questions from the audience? No, we'll have some more opportunity. Don't worry, it's just this chapter here. Okay, talking about Legacy Park. So a lot of times I take it for granted people know where it's at, right? So I always tell people we're that property right next door to the new Publix. Or in Cutler Bay, next door to where the new Flanigan is coming, right? We're going to talk about that in a second. So it's right on Old Cutler Road, right next to New Publix, approximately 16 acres. We went through the master planning phase of the property. Those are a lot of our engineers and architects presenting, and we actually had a lot of public involvement meetings. There's some of the pictures there. You see us at some of our events, kind of discussing the plan with residents at some of our events. Property, as I mentioned, is comprised of 16 acres. Approximately 4 acres will be the buildings, a town hall, a community center, a pool aquatics building, a pool, parking lot, and the remaining 12 acres will be open space, recreation areas. This is the latest conceptual layouts for the property there. As you can see, and let me see if I could, there you go, in the little red box, we know that the council approved the site plan, and the total cost is going to be approximately $49.9 million there. And we're going through the planning process right now. And when you go out there, you'll see a lot of the soil remediation that's going on right now. As I mentioned before, that we're going to be using some of our fund balance, our savings account, to remediate that soil there. It's a $12.8 million project. We're using funds from our savings account, and we also have a grant from the federal government for the ARPA grant that we're using as well for the soil remediation. We provide the council a monthly report every month. Emma Jones from Stantec provides a council a briefing on the projects. And here's just some little, fun facts of how many tons have been removed, the soil that's been imported, the tons of soil that's been exported as well. We provide the council progress reports. As you can see, some of the aerial photos there that we have. Provide the council the project timeline of what the project is on schedule in terms of soil remediation. But as the soil remediation is going on in the background, our design team is still designing, still going through the infrastructure, water, sewer lines, permitting process as well. So the process continues on the backside. This is just phase one with the soil remediation project, removing the soil. And at this point, I'd like to play a little time-lapse video, drone footage there that we showed the council a couple months ago. What I hear is working online, but they're going to try to live broadcast it here as well. Folks are here. Well, the folks at home are getting a special treat because they're seeing the video online, but the folks here in the audience, I don't know if we can get that up on the screen. There we go. The folks on site here. So as you can see there, the contractor is moving all the dirt. I mean, just to give you a good reference, the darker dirt is the contaminated dirt, and the new clean fill is more like a kind of like a little dirt there. And you'll see that there's a wash station there with trucks going in and out. We do have inspectors on site that are monitoring that. Not
What
only
matters
dirt
to
noise,
post-unit
but dirt as well. So we have that going on.
that works on their schedule.
All right. Great. So we'll move on to the next one. Sorry for the technical glitch there, but the folks at home got a good treat there, huh? Okay. All right, any questions regarding Legacy Park before we move on? Nope, any questions online?
Yeah, there's a question. Why are our property taxes being raised this year again?
Okay, so that was a good question. Why are our property taxes being raised this year again? So I could tell you that we set the ceiling at 3.04, as I mentioned. We're going to hold the millage rate at 2.832. It all depends on your property. I could tell you that you have what's called savior homes, that your property taxes could only go up 3%. So if the property value has gone up, we're keeping that millage rate at 2.83. If your property increased, say, I'm using a number, $10,000, yes, you will see a rise in your taxes there because we're still maintaining at 2.832. It all depends on your property value increase. But if you have Save Your Homes, it could only go up 3%. So I always tell people all the time that people always tell me, man, wow, new neighbors just moved in, man, they just sold their house for X. Well, those folks are going to be paying that amount because that's what they moved in at that amount. Your property will be protected and it can only go up 3%. So I can tell you that even though you might think that your taxes are going up 3%, look at that line that says Town of Cutler Bay and compare that to next year, and then you'll see the true increase because the other ones we cannot control. School board, Miami-Dade County. Some folks live in a community development district. A lot of areas there that have special taxing districts or special lighting districts. So, but I can tell you, at least in those individual ones, I'll be more than happy to sit down with the resident and kind of explain what that, if any, increase will be expected.
We have a follow-up question.
Okay.
The resident says that we have no children in our home. Why do we pay school taxes?
I echo that as well. I agree. That is just a process that we have. That is the biggest tax collector. It's also the biggest employer. But at the same time, that is what makes community. As I mentioned before, I could tell you that at least in Cutler Bay, this will be the first time I can tell you, like in the last 19 years, approaching 20, that at least we're getting our money's worth, meaning that you have schools that are all A's and B's, so you're getting that quality education. But again, they're the biggest property tax collector. And I just sit there and say, just please get more involved, like you're involved with our town, and get involved in their budget hearings as well.
No more questions.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the audience? All right. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up.
Have this meeting starting at 6:30. So why did it start at 6?
Okay, so the question was that the town website has the meeting starting at 6:30. Why did it start at 6? It's on the calendar. So let's see let's see, the folks that are in charge of that are sitting right here. Let's see. Okay, the town clerk and our communications manager. What do we have on the website? 6:36? What do we got? Okay. Great question. They just tell me when to show up, I'm here. No, that's fine. Listen, those guys get paid a lot of money to do this kind of stuff. So let's see what's going on here. This is live TV here. Okay, so 6:30. So okay, so somehow we start at 6. So we certainly apologize for that. Oh, we'll be here extra. We'll be here extra. In fact, what can we figure out what we missed be after that, and then we'll know. And we started early. Okay, well then, guys, you got to keep track of that. 6:36. What do we got here, guys? What's the flyer say? What is it? Okay, so apparently the flyer says 6, the website says 6:30. That's government at work, folks. Unfortunately, we'll take that. We'll man up for that. We're here, and I'll be more than happy to stay longer for the folks that missed that first half an hour, or we could be more than happy to rebroadcast it there as well. So we just got to fix that type of glitch. I mean, that's what we do. This is, we'll take account for that. So the flyer said 6. Website says 6:30. I was here at 6. Okay, so we'll figure it out. But thank you for bringing that up. That's the kind of stuff. I mean, look, if that's the worst day happens to be today, that's great. But thank you for bringing that up. Okay, let's move on. What time does it say we end? 7:30. Okay, good. No, okay. Okay, Southplace City Center, right? We used to call it Southland Mall, right? So we'll talk about that. As I mentioned before, it's a $1.5 billion impact, economic impact. You've heard the mayor speak about that over and over again. It's not just a Cutler Bay thing, it's a regional thing, right? It's going to be benefiting the entire South-Dade community. This is something that is very unique when you're in government, because if you recall, some of the folks have been around for years. This was part of what we call the Cutler Ridge Charrette Plan. Charrette is just basically a nice word saying that we have a plan. So it was a visioning session that was done before we even incorporated as a town. We incorporated a lot of the elements of that, and now you get to see the fruition of it, right? So a lot of those times you get those type of plans, you gotta, hey, nice bander, thank you, consultant, put in, hundreds of thousands of dollars and put it on the shelf. Folks, this was, we call this the perfect storm. We had Southland Mall that was in foreclosure. We had Sears that was for sale. And then we also had Macy's that was going up for a private sale. We were able to group all those three properties together over and over, like over about a year and a half or so. I remember myself and the mayor meeting with folks from as far as via Zoom. It was from as far as Canada, trying to market the place and sell the location. Employment, quality of schools, the crime, the low tax rates, things that you want to talk to folks regarding that. And we were able to put the group together. It's Electra America and B&H are the owners of that. As you could tell right now, the old Sears has been demolished. Ross has finally moved to the main mall. They're right there at the storefront. We had a great groundbreaking there about several weeks ago. And now the old Ross and Kmart, they're scheduled to be demolished here in hopefully the next 60 to 90 days, removing a lot of the fixtures and what have you. And then those two footprints, the Sears and Kmart, will then start phase one that we're going to talk about right now. So again, there was a groundbreaking on this past February there, so that we were very excited about that. I mean, it's a lot of investment there and commitment to the town. They see the vision, they see the promise, they see the quality of life. This graphic here is what we've already approved, what we call that in phase one. And we're going to go into some of the graphics here. So phase one, we approved over 1,100 units. That's the actual, conceptual renderings that we have there. We also approved over 6,200 square feet of additional commercial space there. So there's going to be a lot more retail, a lot more recruitment for restaurants as well. We have a 150-room hotel. We call it Key Hotel with, rooftop bars and also a parking garage. That's part of that phase one of the development, and which is still part of the visioning that we vision for the property based on back in the days in the charrette. This is the conceptual plans there that you see there. You have there abutting Caribbean, US 1, 112, and 211th, and you have the turnpike on the other end. But we're also working closely regarding a pedestrian bridge. The pedestrian bridge is going to be located approximately right around that 112th area there along FDOT's US 1 area. This is a little conceptual plan of the location. That's going to be there. I know that's going to probably be shifted a little bit over because there's some huge power lines that are there, but again, it kind of gives you the conceptual idea where it's going to go there. And we'll talk about that shortly about what's going on with that project. So any questions regarding Southland Mall? Questions, yes?
Yeah, there's already an asking what's going to happen with Cutler Ridge Park and Pool once we open Legacy Park.
Okay, great question. We get that all the time, and thank you for that. What's going to happen with Cutler Ridge Pool once you open in Legacy Park? Just to repeat the folks that didn't hear Rod here in the audience. I could tell you, like I've said before in different meetings with homeowner association and business community, when we close one, we open the other. So it's going to be one of those that right now our main focus is keeping that pool, Cutler Ridge Park pool, open as feasible as possible. As I mentioned, we're getting ready to repair a lot of the leaks, and we're going through a 40-year inspection. I call that the perfect storm. I mean, we were already going to repair the leaks, but now we have this 40-year inspection at the same time. So that's driving up the cost. We're going through that process of analyzing the cost. Making sure our biggest priority is keeping that pool open. while we build the other pool as well. So rest assured it'll be open.
But the park will stay open, Cutler Ridge Park.
Cutler Ridge Park will always remain open. Cutler Ridge Park is not only just a park, but it also has a pool there. So that pool will once we open the new pool, will be the building. We'll look at it, assessing the building. Where again, as we're going through the 40-year inspection, that park, the pool portion of that park will get repurposed. You know, there's been some talk at the Parks and Advisory Committee of different conceptual plans to do there right now, but our main focus is getting Legacy Park open, but there will be something happening there. So it's not like we're going to shut down the entire Cutler Ridge Park. So we'll repurpose that area where the pool's at least.
We have one more question.
Sure.
Will Cutler Bay Police be the only agency patrolling City Place, Newmo?
Well, Cutler Ridge Police, so we call it the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department. We have a contract with the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department. You've heard me say publicly that we have the best police department, now sheriffs, that money could buy. There's 3 other municipalities that have contracted police sheriff services. Us, our friends from Palmetto Bay, and our friends from Miami Lakes. Once City Place is built, yes, in fact, that'll be a situation where as that phases continue, we will sit down with our sheriff's department and look at the possibility of need for additional officers. You just can't, you know, the total project is going to probably be about 5,000 units. I don't expect to build 5,000 units with the same level of police services that we have right now. So that's something that we're going to evaluate with our police command staff, and you know, with more people comes more services, right? So that's all part of the process. But at the same time, when you start seeing these buildings being built, the commercial places being built, that means also they're going to be paying, you know, more taxes, but they demand more services as well. So those developers will pay what we call police impact fees. They'll also pay park impact fees because more folks will provide additional strains to our parks. So that's the purpose for the impact fee. So yes, there will be, we're still within the town of Cutler Bay, and it'll be part of our obligation to protect our residents through the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department that we have.
No more questions.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll continue. All right, other upcoming developments that we know that are coming. So I mentioned briefly our Flanigan's that's going to be coming along on Old Cutler Road. These are the actual renderings. It'll have to go through a whole, we call a site plan process review with the town. I could tell you that Jimmy Flanigan has purchased the property from the Garcia family. So that purchase has been done. It's located just south of Jersey Mike's, right next to the Baptist, not in the field where you see the sunflower seeds there. It's inside the public shopping development. So those are the conceptual renderings that we've had meetings with Jimmy Flanigan and his team. Here's another view of it. Some other elevations. And then this property is going to be right in the public shopping center. And then we work closely with our friends from Publix and their leasing agents. So I could tell you just where you have that building along the frontage of Old Cutler Road, there's currently AT&T store. There's currently a Jersey Mike, able to successfully negotiate to have a nothing but cake there on the southern side of Jersey Mike. And on the northern side of that building will be a Chipotle restaurant. There's also another building that Publix will build as well, which is near that Marlin and Old Cutler Road entrance, a little empty field there, that we're in constant contact with their leasing agent. In fact, I provide them a lot of the information, what's coming soon. And I can tell you that that building is about 4,000 square feet. They have a lot of great interest from different coffee shops and pizza shops. So they haven't finalized any lease there, but there's been a lot of interest there, particularly knowing that there's going to have a good anchor there of Flanigan's there, which is going to complement the existing restaurants that we have along Cutler Road, like the Sandbar, Rod Bender. So again, we don't forget the folks that are still there. So we want to patronize those as well. And that's going to be a nice little compliment. Again, that is the Old Cutler Road now becomes another area that was an Old Cutler charrette. So those are two different areas that you see. In fact, the traffic circles that you see on Oak Cutler Road on 87th and Gulfstream Road there, that's the bookends for the commercial district there. That was the vision of the charrette, just like the public shopping center, like the civic center, community center that we're building there, town hall space there too. So that vision, again, we're very lucky to see that happening on two different charrette sites. So I went from Southland Mall to Oak Cutler Road, our big two commercial district sites. And obviously you have the US 1 corridor. So any questions at this point for the Oak Cutler Public Shopping Center?
No questions online.
Any questions from the audience? Nope. Okay. Okay, Dragonfly Shops. Okay, I thought it was like almost like a comic book or something like that. No, that's actually the developer's name. That's when I say Dragonfly, we refer to it as Dragonfly as developer's name. We're working very closely with them. Again, the location there is the intersection of 216 and Old Cutler Road, right next to our Lincoln City Park. So if you live in the Lakes by the Bay community, you go by there all the time. It's right there on 216 and Old Cutler Road. So these are the approved site plans. This one is a little bit different than Flanigan's. This has already gone through the process. So what you see here are the actual renderings that were approved by the town council. That shows you the view there that's Old Cutler Road and 216. This is the view along Old Cutler Road. And again, this is going to be a lot of shops, restaurants there. I could tell you that they have secured a coffee shop there, possibly two more other restaurants there that we know about as well. So we're really excited about that project there. It's going to clean up that whole area there, right there on 216 Oak Cutler Road. And I think it's going to be a lot of, as you can see there, a lot of walkability, a lot of big sidewalks, a lot of corridors that you have there. So we want to make sure there's a lot of walkability. The back end of it will be near Lincoln City Park. So you can see the parking will be on the back. You won't even see the parking from 216. We want to make sure we have that element of having a pedestrian-friendly, golf cart-friendly atmosphere there for local shops there. Which is going to complement the other node, which we call the public shopping center node as well. As you can see there, it's going to look like a two-story building there. So any questions regarding the development called Dragonfly?
No questions online.
No questions? No water break, huh? Okay, another development that we're working on too with our friends from Miami-Dade County. It's Miami-Dade County with the Terra Development Group. It's regarding some workforce housing that's going to be on county property. I always tell people it's where you have the Humane Society there, or I always tell people where we had the old COVID testing site. Right, it's right there and by the courthouse, a big parking lot area there you see up along 107th and 211th Street. So there's something we're working on. There's going to be a development there that they signed a lease with Miami-Dade County. The county will provide them the land, and then they will build over 300 units there for what we call workforce housing there. But we're also excited about the community element there, right? We've had a couple of meetings, public meetings that we held here just to get a lot of the feedback from residents and the developer, the Terra Group, through Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' office. It's going to be a 3.2 acre park there. Just to give you a little landmark there, that property, the road is 107th Avenue there, and it's right behind the courthouse. It's right behind the courthouse, and also another great shout out to Miami-Dade County. They're spending about $5.3 million on the library that's being refurbished there. So that's something that we're really excited about. So now you're going to have the regional courthouse. You have both county commissioners' offices there, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and Commissioner McGee, and then you have a lot of county services in that building there. And then you're gonna have a brand new refurbished library. And then you also have Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Department South Region office there. And then you also have the Miami-Dade County Fire Department Regional Fire Station that serves as an EOC. So now you start seeing that big vision. And right down the street, you have the Moss Center there. So you start seeing that sense of community there with all different services there. This housing, obviously, the county feels that it's going to complement that area there as well. What we also are very involved in is just making sure that that 3.2 acre parcel there is obviously it's going to be open for all the residents of the town of Cutler Bay. We're very excited about all the different elements there that's going to be there. We're talking about splash pads. We're talking about a community center. We're talking about open space dog park. There's going to be a playground that's going to be, we want to make sure that it's going to be sense related type of playground equipment there as well. There's going to be a boardwalk on the backside that complements the existing boardwalk on the along the canal there. So that way folks could just kind of walk to the Moss Center there as well for different programmings. Here's some of the renderings that the developer, the Terra Group, has provided. There, as you can see, some of that boardwalk there, a lot of the open space, and you kind of see the silhouette of the building there as well. And then we also have some other upcoming projects, just kind of giving you that journey there, just to the upper north side there. You'll see there's on right behind the Shell station on 186 Street there, and abutting the busway, we approved 95 unit senior housing development there. We've been in contact with that developer. In fact, it's most recent as of today. The developer has assured me that he has secured the financing, and thank you, Miami-Dade County, for providing some financial help there to build senior housing there. And hopefully, according to the developer, based on all the permitting and the financing that he said that he was going to try to break ground sometime in January and/or February. So I said, okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed, because that's something that he's been working on for several years. Right next to it, just south of that, right next to El Dorado, there's a development that we have approved there. That was about 700 units. Don't let that number scare you, because we have actually approved it, but I've been in communication with the owner of that property, and he doesn't even know if he's going to build that or not. That is the Allura Call Center there, as we call it, the big call center there. It's a 10-acre parcel there. I don't know if that development's actually going to happen or not, just based on my conversations with the owner. I think it's going to remain a big retail shop there. So just stay tuned for updates that I provide to the council. Just south of that, we talked about Southland Mall that we discussed. South of Southland Mall, right behind the Tire Kingdom, there's a development there that was approved for mixed-use senior housing and workforce housing there, and market rate housing there as well. That's the developer is a Pinnacle. They're going through the process now of trying to secure funding for that property. We also then talked about just south of that, Dragonfly. Now we know about Dragonfly and Ticino Cutler Road. I know one of the earlier callers discussed about the property on 216th Street between 87th and 97th Avenue there. That's a contemporary there that we discussed. And then obviously we have our Southplace City Center. So those are the developments that we know that have been approved and are coming. Any questions regarding some of those? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so questions. So folks that I know, don't worry, Barbara's shy, don't worry, but I want to translate, get it to where folks can hear at home. The question was regarding Coastal Ridge Preserve Park on 1840 Cutler Road. What's happening with that? Stay tuned. It's one of my slides. Okay, we're going to get to that. But great question. Okay, town capital improvement projects. So we have a lot of roadway improvement projects. Again, it's one of those that if you live in it, you hate it. If you live around it, you hate it because of detours. But it's necessary evil. We have to go ahead and complete. That's part of our commitment to provide infrastructure improvements. I think it's important to talk about the different funding sources. The funding sources that we have, you hear me say all the time, bureaucrats are full of acronyms, right? JPA. It's a joint participation agreement. What that is that we negotiate with Miami-Dade County. They provide funding because those roads, and you'll see, are owned and maintained by Miami-Dade County. So they provide us funding, and then we then also provide funding as well to move the project along. We also have what's called FDOT LAP TAP grants, another acronym, right, that we have. We work closely, our Public Works Director, Alfredo Quintero, and our grants coordinator, Lakeisha Morris, work closely to apply for these very competitive grants that we get money from the state of Florida. We also have what's called the town's PTP funds that we talked about, the half-penny gas tax that we leverage as well. We also talked about our stormwater utility fee that we leverage against projects. There's a lot of these grants that require matching dollars. So what we do is we leverage those grants with either our town PTP funds or stormwater funds. So some of the projects that we're currently working on, Marlin Road, nothing going on there yet. But we did receive a couple of grants to do a design, over $1 million worth of design. We received actually 2 grants from the state of Florida. One was through FDOT LAP, the other one was through a direct appropriation, and you'll see me thanking some folks here here shortly. But that was something that we worked closely with Senator Calatayud's office, and then Representative Alina Garcia a couple of years ago, that we were able to secure another, about $500,000 for a state appropriation. We talked about Franjo Road. We're going to talk about it some more. That's currently in progress right now. That was a joint participation agreement that we received approximately $9 million from the county several years ago. Thank you, then Commissioner Mayor Cava. I could still call her Mayor Cava, but when she was our commissioner, she was able to secure that for us. And then we also have, you heard me refer to it all the time as the Caribbean Boulevard J, because there's a little J there from 87 to 184 there. There's a J that we have secured funding for as well through an FDOT grant. And then we're going to talk about Coastal Ridge Preserve, that we received a couple of grants for that as well. And then we have the 53 acres that are owned and maintained by South Florida Water Management District. Down south near the Southday landfill and Black Point Marina. That's environmentally sensitive land that we actually received grants for as well. Also, our Caribbean Boulevard, Old Cutler Road project. So let's talk about Franjo Road. That's the one that's near and dear, right in the center of the town. This was, again, a project that we did a joint participation agreement. You can see the project limits there from 184 all the way to Old Cutler Road. The detours, and please, thank you everyone. The detours, because I mean you're going through some streets that the traffic volume is, you've never seen that before. Everybody's moving around on Franjo Road. I can tell you that project is moving along. We present a monthly update to the town council from our consultant Kimberly Horn, and you can see as that project is moving along there. We have it there based on different work zones and different phases that we have. This same graphic is the same graphic the mayor and town council see, but you could also visit our website. We have it on our website as well, and it's also part of the video minutes from our council chamber, from our council meeting as well. Consultant provides a report. You see that timeline there, kind of continuing, making sure that we're on schedule. Knock on wood, we haven't had that many rain delays, there. We've hit a couple of different, believe it or not, contaminated soil potholes there as well that we had to remediate, but nothing that has delayed the project considerably. So we have been taking advantage of that great weather. So any questions regarding Franjo Road? No question? No question? Yes.
The detour goes down Holiday Road. There are a lot of cars down Holiday Road. So you could take a look at it, do something.
Okay, so question for the folks at home is that the detour takes a lot of traffic on Franjo onto Holiday Road, and there's a lot of speeders along Holiday Road. If we could take a look at the speeding on Holiday Road, absolutely. We have our sheriff here from the NRU. Also, our police major is watching online. We'll certainly provide them your address, and we'll make sure that we have enforcement there. I think that's how the best traffic behavior is, that unfortunately that ticket, right? So we want to make sure you'll see as a process, because we'll usually put out the speed radar trailer. It's not just a radar trailer; it's a smart trailer. It'll kind of log. People say they're speeding all the time. Well, When we look at the log, it's only like speeding maybe 45 minutes or whatever that number is. And then that's when they use that data from the smart trailer to put our traffic enforcement units there. So thank you for that. We have it noted there. And our police department will go out there on Holiday Road. That's what happens usually with the detours there. Okay, next. Okay, so you've heard me talk about before, American Rescue Plan Act. This is something that we received over $21 million post-COVID. That was our allocation for different projects. You heard me talk about it before. We received $21 million. $10 million is what we call for general services. And then the $11 million water quality improvement projects, we call that drainage projects. So I can tell you that every time that we have used the funding, we go before the town council and get it approved. What's that do? It provides two levels of protection. One, accountability, making sure that we meet our procurement policy. Two, the legality. That's a word, legality? Legal format, right? That we make sure that the town attorney reviews that to make sure what services we're procuring or products we're purchasing meets the Treasury Department's several hundred-page mandate requirements that they have. So from the $10 million, we've used 9.1 that we have obligated. Doesn't mean that we lose the remainder. We could reshuffle some of that money towards, for example, soil remediation project that we have on Legacy Park. That means that we can use less of our savings account for that. So that's something that is an eligible shift of funds, reallocation of funds. So water quality improvement projects, $11 million of it. That we call a drainage project. So right now, I'll kind of give you a little visual journey of what all the different projects that are going on right now that are being funded through that. So we have this little area right here between 87th Avenue and Caribbean Boulevard. If you live in that box there, you see a lot of drainage projects going on there. That project there, I could tell you, was designed by ARPA funds, and the construction was done through ARPA funds. So zero cost to our stormwater, zero cost to your ad valorem taxes. We also have the area there, we call it right around Cutler Ridge Park and Cutler Ridge Elementary there, that around that Bahia Drive there, Coral Sea Drive area there. Again, that was designed through ARPA and being constructed through ARPA, as well. Then we have our Lakes by the Bay community there. We have this one here. The design was ARPA, and we were just awarded $5.4 million right here from the Biscayne Bay Water Quality Improvement Project. That is a large win for us. As you can see, there's only $20 million up for grabs. And we received $5.4 million. And some of our other friends, municipalities and county received money as well. So our friends in that Lakes by the Bay community there, we know there's a lot of much needed drainage issues there, as we know. And we were able to capture a grant, successfully capture a grant this year for $5.4 million. Almost capturing what, a fourth of the entire pot of money, for the state. Again, some of the other projects here, you'll see, this is a little busy chart here, but you can see a lot of different projects that we have funded through different type of grants. So if you live in those little highlighted areas there, I mean, obviously not the 53 acres, because that's a wetland area, and also the 8.5 acres, but we're very proud of that. We use American Rescue Plan Act. We use FDOT grants. We use Miami-Dade County Joint Participation Agreements. We use the People's Transportation Plan. We've also used the Stormwater Utility Fund, and most recently the Biscayne Bay Trust Fund. So what's missing there, and what we're very proud of, and I said that before with the Mayor and Town Council, is there's no ad valorem taxes. Again, zero ad valorem taxes. So we have been able to leverage all those projects without having ad valorem taxes there at all. And that's an amazing tribute to our town staff. Not a lot of cities can say that, folks. They can't. And then obviously we had the Citizens Independent Trust, which is the same thing as a PTP. So any questions with some of the upcoming projects?
Yeah, you'll talk about it on the upcoming section, but how are we mitigating the increases in traffic?
Okay, so every time that a developer comes in, the ones that we talked about, upcoming developments there, this was changed about, I would say like, almost 4 or 5 years ago. Mayor Mirabot sponsored an ordinance that said that the town, will do the traffic study. So the developers pay the town to do a traffic study. So yes, we basically told everybody, yes, thank you for your traffic study, but we're going to do it. They're going to pay us to do it. So the way we mitigate the traffic is that, one, we rest assured that our consultant is the one doing the traffic study, number one. If it affects a county road or state road, we sit down with the county to talk about what's called the methodology of that. And then the impacts will then be what we call mitigated through different types of roadway improvements. So for example, a lot of the projects you see there were along the US 1 corridor. The folks that are building along US 1 corridor are obviously going to take advantage of what we know is coming, which is the bus rapid transit, the BRT. So there's going to be a rapid transit system there. So they're going to be taking advantage of that type of service. The Southland Mall, US 1, the BRT service there, we talked about the pedestrian bridge. The other ones that you see there on 216 between 87 and 97, I know there was a question from one of the viewers there. That one there, they have to go through a traffic study as well, but that's being serviced by a 4-lane highway. There might be some new intersections traffic lights there that'll help to mitigate the traffic flow there. So once we do the traffic study, the developer will have to go ahead and do the mitigation as part of the conditions that we set for the approval process. Okay, no questions?
No more questions.
All right, questions from the audience? No? All right, let's do it. Okay, property acquisition. So we're getting close here. Okay, 8.5 acres, and I know was one of the questions from the audience here regarding Coastal Ridge Preserve. That's something that we acquired. We're going to get into those projects there. 8.5 acres named Coastal Ridge Preserve. There's some of the planning process that we had there. We have a lot of the cleanup efforts we have with the community there. You can see there we actually even had Congresswoman Salazar, looking at the plans as well. We're trying to seek any type of federal funding as well. So the Coastal Ridge Reserve, we developed a master plan for the Coastal Ridge Reserve. There's the master plan there where we have a couple of educational pavilions there, a trail where it's more important for us also to have that reforestation of those projects there. But then more importantly, recently we talked to our friends from Zoo Miami putting a potential bat house on the southern pavilion area there. And we're really excited about that. We actually coordinated with Miami-Dade Zoo Miami, as I call them, and they actually put little listening devices out in the trees. And a lot of different bat species. They did have what we call a flyby or a buzz the tower, like from Top Gun, of the bonneted bat. They heard it. It wasn't roosting there, but it did a flyby, so they were really excited about that. So are there bats out there? Yep. So we want to make sure that we want to try to make that a nice educational feature. So our vision there is to have that bat house there, and in turn, I said, man, it'll be great to have a little web camera there. Hey, let's see the bats fly out at night and what have you. So that's going to be kind of cool there. So that's something that we're working closely as we go through the process there. But I think phase one, going back to the question that we have from the audience, is what's going on there now? Well, right now, I can tell you that we just approved a vendor to remove all the invasive trees. When I say all the invasive trees, it's going to be like almost every single tree there, that's there. It was something that we approved during the council meeting about a couple months ago. We researched the contractor. The contractor does this for a living. In fact, one of their biggest customers is Miami-Dade County Eel Property. So we're actually finalizing the contract now. We're going to have a big project sign out on Old Cutler Road. The mayor doesn't know it yet, but we're going to be filming a nice public information video as well with the mayor to understand that before we even start removing, because when that process starts, it's going to be completely leveled. Let me repeat that. It's going to be completely leveled. I mean, it might be handful of trees that are left. That's how much invasive trees that are out there. So we're going to be working closely with Miami-Dade County Durham. We have all the permits. We also work closely with South Florida Water Management because there's some wetlands adjacent there. So I could tell you, I would say if I'm guessing, looking at the timetable that we have, I would say within maybe the next 30 to 45 days, you might see some action there. And you'll know when it's coming. You'll see it because my phone's going to be ringing off the hook. What? They're building a new development. They're building a road. What's going on? It's going to be a 20-story building. No, it's going to be cleared. It's going to be cleared. It's going to be cleared. So that's going to be part one is that phase, which, by the way, is being funded in part by Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, $250,000 grant, and we're matching $250,000. So it's a $500,000 project. Part of it was for the planning phase, the development master plan, and the second part was to remove the invasives. Now, added, we're also working with Miami-Dade County through Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' office, securing an additional $250,000 grant through the county to help with the restoration efforts, for tree plantings there and what have you. Not only that, we're also applying for different types of grants to show the vision that we have there to start, building a lot of the trail, a lot of the pavilions, the bat house, the parking lot there. So we are constantly looking for additional grants, but this step here is going to be the project sign, informational video, and then you're going to see that contractors go to town there. We also have a little hot spot there for arsenic, believe it or not, right around that graphic there around the potential bat house that we still have to deal with after we remove all the trees. So there's going to be some soil remediation that's going to be going on there as well, because that property there, when you look at the aerials back in 1930s, that area there, right around the bat house there was an old shed there that had all the stored chemicals. And there's a lot of elevated, again, that word arsenic, for us as well. So that's something that we're going to be remediating, but it's not going to hold up the tree removal and invasive tree removal part as well. But we're also excited because right next to that property, there's over 130 acres of South Florida Water Management District that we're working with our friends from Miami-Dade County, that they received a National Wildlife Fish Foundation grant in excess of $400,000 to do a big master planning of that. So the folks that have been following this project here for the longest time are going to see the big master plan phase that Miami-Dade County is going to be doing as well. And we're going to try to obviously be very active participants, because our residents have been out there with a lot of sweat equity and planting and plucking the weeds and what have you. So we want to make sure that we continue that vision, and we're involved with the county's master planning phase there as well. So again, we purchased this property several years ago, $1 million an acre, so $8.5 million. So as the mayor Mirabal has mentioned, we put our money where our mouth is. So now we want to make sure that we get some assistance as well from the counties, to make it a nice big regional impact there. So again, takeaways that hopefully within the next 45 days, you'll see the contractor on site to start removing the invasives there. Okay, another one we talked about was a 16-acre municipal complex there that we purchased. We did what we call a land swap. Many of you are here in the audience or in this building. We swapped this building and the property next door between us and Mercedes-Benz, in addition to $3 million cash to purchase the 16 acres. The 16 acres was also $1 million an acre. So you can tell how much equity we had in the building, the property next door. We secured that property and we were able to take development rights away. Most recently, we purchased the property on 87th and Old Cutler Road. There, many of you might have remembered that was at one point, I think it was maybe I want to say at least 2, possibly 3 failed attempts to put in a CVS and mixed use there that was denied by the council for various reasons. And we were able to successfully negotiate with the property owner, and we purchased that property there, 3.5 acres for $8.5 million. So as you can see there, now you see us securing that vision there for along Old Cutler Road. Veterans Park, as we call it, there has been renamed the 87th and Old Cutler. So in total, 8.5 acres, 16, 3.5. I can't do that math that fast enough, but it's 28 acres. So we have purchased 28 acres, secured 28 acres. We removed, most importantly, development rights of up to 618 units. I know one of the questions we had now on the sign, on the Zoom was traffic. Well, I can tell you we did our part. We removed that many more trips there, of purchasing, those properties there and securing, the future for future generations that at least we know that's not gonna be developed. Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, another nice acronym, SERP. That is the $80 million dig, as I call it, that a lot of folks don't know unless you're going down Black Point Marina or you're at Matter Academy. Hey, they're building a new road in the mangroves. What's going on? No, that's going to be actually be a canal. It's going to be a big restoration project. Sometimes people call it Save Our Everglades Restoration Projects, and that's going on, right now. That's going to complement what we're doing on the 53 acres there, because that canal is going to be right next to the 53 acres that we have a grant as well for $700,000 that we received from the state of Florida, and we're matching 700,000. It's $1.4 million that we're going to restore those 53 acres right on the corner of 224 and 97 Avenue. It's not our property, it's South Florida Water Management District property, so it's a partnership with them. But at the same time, it's going to complement what we're getting ready to talk about now, which is a CERT project. So again, if you live in that area, you know that detour has been around. That 97th Avenue has been closed, so we know there's a lot of detours going on there. The contractor actually had to remove the road, build up the road, build a bridge to have a big throughway canal on the bottom. I call those like concrete line canals, like you see like in LA. I call them, So it's amazing the work that's going out there. So if you go by there and take a peek at it, please do. But again, a lot of our residents would use 97th Avenue to go up and back and forth to Matter Academy, and that has been closed for almost a year already. So part of the project limits there, as you can see there, there's all those red areas there. Those are all the different mangroves that are going to be rehydrated. The yellow line that you see there is what we call the spreader canal. So the canal is going to come from the main canal cutting across 97th Avenue on the south side of the Isles of Bayshore there. And then it's going to go underneath 87th Avenue. We want to make sure that we negotiated with the Army Corps and South Florida Water Management not to close 87th Avenue. If we had to close one road, it would be 97th Avenue. Again, they had to spend a lot more money doing what we call directional boring underneath 87th Avenue, and that's what you see happening now. As you can see there, the yellow is a big spreader canal. So what folks that drive and have children that go to Matter Bay Academy, they'll say, hey, what's going on with that? Well, all that yellow, they removed all the invasive trees that are there. So they do have a permit. A lot of questions we always have, do they have a permit? Yes, they have a permit. And that is part of the big spreader canal that they have there. We just recently took a tour with the town council and South Florida Water Management District, Drew Bartlett, the executive director there. We've toured it with Senator Calatayud, Representative Blanco. We are securing a tour as well with Congressman Salazar, because I think that's a major project there that's going to benefit all those thousands of acres of mangroves there that are just kind of being suffocated with no water. As you can see here, some of the different aerials there is very impressive when you see that there. We tried logistically trying to figure out if we could show the footage for drone footage, but logistically we just couldn't figure out how to do that. But certainly if you contact my office, we'd be more than happy to share it with you. That's a big pump station there. You see the S701. It's a huge pump station, about the size as tall as this room here. And it's going to be conveying water from the C1 canal over to underneath 97 and 87 to the over several 2,000 acres there. One of the things that we're really excited about is negotiating with the South Florida Water Management District for what we call the recreational elements. There's going to be a nice little bird watching facility there on the intersection, well, theoretical intersection, right? Because we have between 224 and 232 there on the edge of the 53 acres there. There's going to be a restroom. In fact, that restroom's already up. A restroom there. There's going to be a nice little parking area, pervious parking area, and a pavilion, some bike racks there as well, to oversee what I call the stage, which is the 53 acres that we're in the process of restoring in partnership with South Florida Water Management District. So Any questions so far on some of the acres? I hope I answered the question for Coastal Ridge Preserve. Okay. No questions? Okay, let's continue. Okay, software update. You're going, what software update? Well, I think this is very important for us. Part of the funding that you saw for that $10 million funds from the ARPA funds, we secured about over $800,000 for our software update. What's that going to do? It's, I tell you, if you visit our building department, we still do it the old school way. You got to bring in your plans. Because think about these developers, they got to bring in crates of plans and for us to review versus receiving that electronically. The running joke I have with my staff is that it's great. You could reserve a park pavilion at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I got to come in at 8 to pay for it the next morning. So it should be that you pay those online. It should be that you pay your burglar alarm online. It should be you pay your occupational license, your business tax online. So that's something that was very important for us, and we had the opportunity with the federal grant to go ahead and do that. I can tell you this is something that we had a presentation before the town council from our consultant. Again, the purpose of this was to make it more contactless, right? Just by having it contactless is going to make it, by its mere nature, more efficient for us to do. So I challenge my building department all the time. If I know when the pizza guy's coming, I should know when the inspector's coming. Right? If I know where the Uber driver is, I should know where our inspector is in the route versus a typical, yeah, we'll be there between 9 and 12 o'clock in the afternoon, right? I mean, everybody's seen that commercial. The scope includes a lot of brand new program for our building department. I highlight the building department because the biggest tracker we have is the building department. And then second one is our finance department with the burglar alarms, occupational licenses as well. And also some of our GIS programs. As I mentioned, the project cost is $807,000 that we were able to secure through the federal government grant, which is the American Rescue Plan. So that's something that it's in progress right now. And I know that it has to be up and running by federal requirements by December 31st of 2026. So we secured the funding, part of that $9.1 million. And it has to be up and running by December 2026. I can tell you that I peeked my head in a couple of those meetings there with the software folks, and I want to thank our building department, our finance department, and some of the other departments that are getting ready to go through these massive sessions, because I know that these meetings are very intensive. They last anywhere from 5 to 6 hours. And per session, because you have to get a lot of the back end stuff there to make sure that we could go ahead and have a lot of things that we do electronically, which is going to make it more customer friendly, particularly for the folks that pull permits, on a weekly basis. We talked about it briefly about relationships. I think it's very key for us to continue the relationships that we've had. As I mentioned, we're going to be about reaching 20 years old in this November. And we have a lot of great relationships. First with Congresswoman Salazar, we were able to secure $4.4 million for the Marlin Road project. Again, this is for the construction, and we're still in the planning phase. So thank you for that. We also secured $1 million for the Saga Bay community. As you recall, several years ago, can't remember the tropical storm that was there, but I remember, the Saga Bay, that the lake was overflowing. Folks had about 3-4 feet of water in their garages, and we're all standing around saying, yep, it's flooded. It was because the groundwater table, because we had about 26 inches of rain in 3 days, and we just happened to be that community. It couldn't happen anywhere else. It happened to be here, right? So we took that negative and turned it into a positive. We were able to go up several trips to DC and secure $1 million worth of funding. What it's going to occur there for our friends in the Saga Bay community, that particularly live in that near the Saga Bay Lake, there's going to be a big pipe between Saga Bay Lake and the wetlands, similar to what you just saw with the SERP project, where we're going to rehydrate mangroves. So not only are we going to have that, when that water from that lake was overflowing, it's going to go down that pipe and it's going to rehydrate the wetlands there. It's going to go through a treatment process, obviously, and then it's going to rehydrate the wetlands, but then at least it gives residents that are living in that community, because the water table was so high. But meanwhile, you have these thousands of acres of wetlands kind of starving for water. That's where we're, in fact, if you recall the media there, when we were out there, that's where we were pumping the water to. So again, thank you, Congressman Salazar. We also have her commitment that has been included in one of her priority projects. They only get to select so many projects per year. Cutler Bay was one of the ones that she selected for what we call the 2026 community funding request list for $2 million for the Lakes by the Bay community as well, to help with another project within the Lakes by the Bay community. And I'd like to, at this time, thank our federal lobbyists. Sometimes you hear us say our federal lobbyists there, Thorn Run, they're working behind the scenes on a daily basis up in DC. And they set up the different meetings with different federal agencies, as well as, talking to Congressman Salazar's staff there and making sure that all these reports are available to her. Mentioned our great state senator, Alexis Calatayud. She's been involved in a lot of different funding sources. This year, we were able to, we had a great year in terms of getting all of our appropriations past the House and the Senate. Unfortunately, when he went to the governor's office, just like a lot of cities, we got hit what I refer to as the red pen, the veto pen. But one of our projects that was able to be secured was $50,000 for our active adults program. So we were able to secure that $50,000 appropriation for that. So we'd like to thank Senator Calatayud's office there. I know that she was just as upset as we were because some of the other projects that we had, some of them were restoration of our Bel Air Park building, assistance with the soil mitigation project, a couple of drainage projects, a US 1 economic development plan. All those appropriations went through all the hurdles until they got to the governor's office. So we're going to try again next year again as well, because we think we have a great chance, particularly that it went through those committees. We also have Representative Omar Blanco, very helpful when we go to Tallahassee as well, sponsored all the projects that I just mentioned, but we were able to land $50,000 with his assistance as well. And in fact, you can see he actually participates in some of these. I think our Franjo Park Zumba class, right? I think they're still talking about his dance moves there. So thank you, Representative Blanco, for everything you do for us as well. Also, we have our county commissioner, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Folks that live in that 216 area there, I know we had a call before. 216 between Cutler and 97th Avenue. Right? That is where, when it rains 3 or 4 inches, that's where the media parks. Because that is just, it just floods there all the time. I could tell you that's something we've been working with Miami-Dade County for the last, I want to say 4 years, and they were able to develop the plans. They have secured the funding through what's called the federal omnibus bill, which is where we have some of our funding as well. And they're just waiting to go through that procurement process to go ahead and fix that drainage problem there on 216 between Cutler and 97th Avenue. Now, if you live in Cutler, if you live in Lakes by the Bay, you scratch your head, but wait a minute. Didn't the county just do from 97th to about 87th? I go, yep. And we were very vocal about this. Hey, guys, you improved the wrong side. It's supposed to be the other side. So yes, we said that jokingly, but it's true. But listen, we're very thankful for the project between 87th and 97th. But I think now that we secured Cutler and 97th Avenue there funding, so I think that's going to be great. And again, these projects we meet on almost on a monthly basis. I'm talking to Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and her staff on a weekly basis regarding these projects. So she's advocating for those as well. Marlin Road. As I mentioned before, we secured $4.4 million from from Congressman Salazar. We also secured an additional $1 million from an FDOT grant. So you're doing the math, 5.4 there, right? That project is going to be somewhere in the range of like $16 million, 16. So we're working closely with Commissioner Cohen-Higgins' office and our friends from Miami-Dade County Public Works Department to try to secure one of those joint participation agreements where we collaborate with the county to say, hey, you know what? We brought $5.4 million to the table. We need some additional funding through the county to fix Marlin Road, which, by the way, it's a county road. So something similar to what we dealt with Franjo Road. So that's our proven track record there. And we call that a capacity improvement project. So we're working closely. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins is assisting us with that. We also talked about Southplace City Center, the pedestrian bridge, which is going through a big study right now. Commissioner Cohen was very integral, played an important role of securing funding through Miami-Dade County Public Works. Miami-Dade County Public Works is performing the study for the Southland Mall there to have that nice pedestrian crossing. That potentially could be a $7 to $8 million project there as well. And then also, we talked about Coastal Ridge Preserve, but something that you heard me talk about in front of the Mayor and Town Council is that we're working closely with Miami-Dade County Environmentally Endangered Land, EEL, to possibly sell off 2 acres of that for them to put in with their own spreader canal along that hydration project for the 126 acres down from South Florida Water Management District as well. So that's something that Commissioner Cohen-Higgins has these projects. We meet. She's constantly trying to get updates and secure information from the county staff. Also have our school board member, Luisa Santos, a proud resident of the town of Cutler Bay in the Lakes by the Bay community. We've working closely with her regarding the use of open fields and courts, something we've worked on for years. We're securing Cutler Bay Middle School, great field in the back, about 12.6 acres that we're going to try to do what's called a JUA, another acronym, Joint Use Agreement. And also we have Cutler Bay High that has 5.1 acres of empty space, I say empty space, open space. Both of those schools have basketball courts, and the high school has tennis courts that are getting restriped to be additional pickleball courts. So we're very encouraged of the progress that we're making with county staff, school district staff regarding that. So hopefully there'll be something here and you'll see in the next maybe 90 to 120 days come before the town council. But more importantly, we also talked about looking at potential funding for what's called a Coast Academy, which is the Ocean Academy of Science and Technology. We call them the Coasties. There's Coast Academies in both the Cutler Bay Middle School and Cutler Bay High School that we're securing, trying to secure some funding but there's going to be some strings attached to the funding, meaning that certain amount of the percentage of the students must live within the town of Cutler Bay, has to be certain educational standards, has to be a lot of certain benchmarks that must be met in order for us to continue our negotiations with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. But Luisa Santos and our Education Advisory Committee are working hard on these discussions. So, thank you for the folks that serve in our Education Advisory Committee as well. And also, we're working closely to bring back the active night classes at Cutler Bay High. It was a very successful program there. They have a lot of fitness, technology, art, and wellness classes. I think it's a great location because we have a lot of our senior elderly apartment complex that are within walking distance of the school. It's a lot of great activities where we can kind of leverage some of that school building that we have there with Principal Delatorre out there. So some of the upcoming events we are actually sponsoring with the Economic Development Council a business resource fair here in this very same room here. So please, if you haven't signed up for it or sign up for our newsletters, you'll get those notifications with our communications manager. Also, another really exciting coastal cleanup effort that we had last year. Last year we had over almost 130 students, both from Cutler Bay Middle School Coast Academy and the Cutler Bay High Coast Academy, and as well as several residents there. We had, Senator Kalati that came out there as well. I think I saw like a knee-deep water on the edge of the canal there. So that's something that we're working closely with our friends, and that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. And then also another event we have is our Hispanic Heritage Night at Cutler Ridge Park there. So, please come out. Again, another nice fun time to meet your neighbors and friends and the mayor and council and just talk to your neighbors and friends and kind of enjoy a nice night out there. Obviously, with these events, we always cross our fingers for the weather. So I think this is going to be later in the year. I think it'll work out for us. And then our big one that's coming up is going to be this year, believe it or not, November the 8th, Saturday from 4 to 8. It's going to be our 20-year anniversary event at Cutler Ridge Park. So that's going to be something that we're really, really excited about. We're the youngest municipality in Miami-Dade County. So that's something that we want to go ahead and celebrate our accomplishments together with the mayor and council, previous council members, previous mayors, our residents, a lot of the folks that helped us get to where we at. We certainly, like I always tell people all the time, don't forget where you came from. And so we want to make sure that we highlight all those folks that make us what we are right now, because we cannot do it just by ourselves. It has to be a big community effort there. So again, ways to communicate with the town. We have a lot of ways. We talked about the 11 council meetings. We talk about our budget workshops. It's one of the most important duties that the mayor and council have, and myself as your town manager. We have obviously the open mic nights, these type of forums there. Sorry for the glitch. Started at 6 for 6:30. We're going to fix that. We'll know that, so we'll get that fixed for next time. And that's our error. We'll take accountability for that. We have 17 signature events that we talked about. Some of the ones that we just mentioned right now. Emails, calls, direct messages, monthly newsletters, service request forms. Sometimes I tell people just come by town hall. If I'm available, I'll be more than happy to come out. Sometimes I'm on a Zoom. I'll try to get off and just, talk to folks. And then again, we have over 27 followers on social media outlets there. So I think with this one, do we have any questions?
We have only one question.
Okay.
It's about Black Point Marina, so it's outside of town, but will there be any improvement to Black Point Marina?
Okay, so yes, fun fact, Black Point Marina is outside the town of Cutler Bay. I could tell you that just monitor the county's budget. Also, feel free to reach out to Commissioner Cohen-Hagen's office. She has a very great staff there. Javay Clayton, the chief of staff, Bobby Joe, Julio, we know them all on first name basis there. Just, send them an email and see some of the improvements. I know that I don't track it as much because I know there's been so much talk about maybe budget cuts or what have you, but I know that that's a very critical marina for very heavily traveled marina there and at Black Point Marina. So again, or plus, and I want to sit there and say, like, if I'm passing above, feel free to send me an email. You'll see at the end my email address, and I'll be more than happy to reach out and try to get that answer for the resident who's asking for that question online. Although it's outside of town, we patronize that place as well.
No more questions.
Of course, all right. Any questions from the audience? No? No? Okay, well, great. Well, again, on behalf of the Mayor and Town Council, thank you folks for attending both virtually and in person. If you think of something, please, feel free to email us, call me. Can we put the graphic up on the screen there, the ways to contact? There you go. I'll leave it up on the screen there. There's my email address, our phone number there. Thank you for the folks that participated. Some great exchanges there, feedback and comments. And thank you to the folks that are here in the audience for taking time, out of your busy schedule, and the folks online. I know the mayor and council are also online. They're watching there. So on behalf of the mayor and council, thank you for attending tonight's meeting. Good night.